Today, I was thinking about something random when I remembered that Joss Whedon helped write the original 2000s X-Men movie, and that made me wonder, hang on, he's the guy who wrote the original Avengers, which had good dialogue and it was probably the best part. This movie had not good dialogue. How are these written by the same guy? That made me think about that atrocious, "you know what happens to a toad that gets struck by lightning" line, and I just decided to go back and rewatch that scene because I thought, this can't be as bad as I remember. And I was right. It was worse. This might be one of the worst scenes I've seen in any movie ever, so I decided to analyze this scene for everyone in the audience to make fun of. However, I would like to say that just because I'm doing this, it doesn't mean I harbor any negative feelings towards this movie or its creators. I actually quite like this movie, and anything I said in this video will not affect that. I still like Joss Whedon as a writer, I really like Bryan Singer as a director, and I like Halle Berry as an actor. I just think this scene in particular is bad, but that should not affect your perception of an otherwise great movie.
Scene analysis time.
Let's begin the analysis. So first, the line itself.
Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else.
The first bit sounds like sort of like the setup to some kind of pun, but then it just sort of doesn't. When you hear, "what happens to a toad that gets struck by lightning?" you think she's going to lead to some sort of toad-specific quip like saying, "his warts get zapped," but instead she just says, "the same thing that happens to everybody else." Where is the joke in there? That would be like if I was about to drop a brick onto a cat's toes and said, "what happens when I drop a brick onto a cat's toes?" But instead of following it up with a punchline like, "it will land on its feet," I just say, "the same thing that happens to everything else." That wouldn't be making a punchline. That would just be stating the truth. Some of you at home might be saying, "but Joey, this might be anti-humor. The punchline is that there is no punchline." And to that I say, you would be sort of a bit right, but it wouldn't matter if you did because anti-humor still has to be funny. Let me explain. If you don't know what anti-humor is, it's basically where the joke is that there is no joke. The classic example is, why did the chicken cross the road? To get to the other side. This joke works because everyone assumes that there'll be some sort of like chicken-based pun, but the actual punchline is sort of like, to get to the other side. Duh, you idiot. Why else would the chicken do that? However, the difference is that the line in X-Men still refuses to go the extra millimeter by making the punchline a bit more specific than just what happens to everyone else. If they wanted to do good anti-humor, then they should just have put something like, "it will get electrocuted." To me, it just comes across as they didn't care enough to come up with anything actually clever. But I get it. Humor is subjective. What's not funny to me could be hilarious to someone else. This video isn't supposed to be me telling other people why this joke is awful. This is just me expressing what I personally dislike about this scene. With that being said, let's move on to the rest of the atrocious aspects of this scene. So I have no idea what happened here, but for most of the movie, the technical aspects hold up pretty well, especially for a movie that came out in the year 2000. But it feels like for this one scene, every single aspect insisted on sucking. First, Halle Berry's delivery.
Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning?
I would just like to clarify that I love Halle as an actor, and this is in no way meant as an attack on her. But she delivers this line in like a weirdly stilted way. She puts about as much into emotion into it as I'm putting in right now. Also, Storm's wig looks kind of derpy. Like, why does everything in this scene insist on being bad? Next, I would like to rant about the visual effects. When you see Toad flying away, the green screen effects look so obvious and bad. It looks so fake. Let's just slow it down so you can appreciate the craftiness of this. Also, the editing in this is something else, let me just say that. Okay, I'm gonna show you. In this shot, we see Toad still pretty strongly holding onto the railing with his tongue. And in the very next shot, Toad is flying through the air without any explanation. Did someone accidentally edit out a clip of Toad being launched through the air? For those of you who don't know how weird of an edit this is, it would be like if in the scene from Revenge of the Sith where Mace Windu gets launched out of the window, for example. You don't actually see him getting launched, but it just cuts directly from Mace firmly on the ground to him flying through the air. Imagine if this was the final cut of the movie. X-Men, you've just been one-upped by Revenge of the Sith. How do you feel? So some of you might be wondering, what's the point of this video? Like, sure, this movie that came out 5 years before you were born is kind of campy and also has bad visual effects. Yeah, so what? Old movies are usually lacking in those departments. And to that I say, you are absolutely right. There was no point to this video. I just felt like talking about this after I saw the derpy editing thing, and so I just threw the rest of this on top of it. I just farted. I really hope the mic didn't pick that up. It might have, I don't know. But this was a very fun experiment, so I might do something like this again sometime. If any of you guys have any ideas of like bad movie scenes that you want to see me analyze, then like send it to me. Comment on this video, hey Joey, you should analyze whatever bad scene, and then I'll probably look at it in a video. I don't get that much comments as it is, so maybe this'll boost the algorithm or something. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just rambling at this point. I didn't script this last bit. So, I guess I'll just see you the next time I make a video then.